Hi, I'm Teki Sarantakis, the president of the Canada School of Public Service. And today we're going to do something really cool. We are going to do our part two on Estonia. And we have a very special guest with us today, Annette Numa from eAccelerate Estonia. Before we begin, we're going to do a land acknowledgement because it's very important to remember that we continue to live in the land that people were here far before the Europeans. So I'm joining you today from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. And I encourage you to take a moment to reflect upon the land and its history from wherever you might be joining us today or in the future as you watch this video. So, Estonia, we've heard about it. We get told, oh, Estonia, oh, you gotta see what they do in Estonia. What did they do in Estonia? So talk to us a little bit about what they do in Estonia.
We're having a very good life.
Yeah, and why is that?
Because we have a lot of time to enjoy our own activities and hobbies and everything, because the government have made sure that people actually have the freedom to do whatever they like to, because the government stuff, like the services and everything, are provided online. And we want to make sure that things are done on a background, so you don't actually even need to communicate with your government or ask for the services. So that we approach to people from our own side. And as 99% of the government services are fully functioning online, that means that there is very little cases that you need to actually contact the government. I don't know, going in person or something. There's only one single service that is currently functioning on paper, and this is getting divorced, and I hope that doesn't happen too many times in a year or so. So that's very little services.
In Canada, we have forms, and we love forms, and whether they are federal forms or provincial forms or municipal forms or private sector forms or recreational forms, we have forms. We spend our lives going, my address, here's my postal code, here's the name of my kid, what's my postal code again? No, I moved. You don't do that in Estonia?
We don't have time for that.
You don't have time for that because you're living life?
Exactly, and it's everything is already pre-filled, and once I have already submitted that information to the system, no government agency has right to ask me information 2 times. So we're using this kind of once-only policy that once I have submitted this information online, that's it. We don't duplicate information also for the security reasons, so that if any other institution needs to know your, I don't know, tax information or your address or anything, then they can easily just ask from the other portals, through our data exchange platform, not reaching out to you, Taki, and being okay, can you tell us the information that you have already submitted thousands of times already to submit this again, because I'm pretty sure you have way more cooler things to do in your life than submitting the forms, right?
Well, I'm not cool, but others are. There are some Canadians that are super cool, and I'm sure they would love to have their time back in terms of not filling out forms and telling people multiple times the same thing. So quite honestly, quite seriously, you register for swimming lessons, you get your hydro bill, you get your electricity bill, and they don't ask you to fill out forms? They don't ask you to fill out your address?
No, I mean, like I said, it's just if the information is already somewhere online, which means our population register, for example, for the home address,
right.
Then that's it. And then the other portals are just connected to the system on the need-to-know basis, asking our information from there, not knocking on my door and being can it tell us where you live? If I have already, or if I change my home address as well. I do it once, on the portal itself. I signed a document and everything, and that's about it. And I remember when I bought my first home as well, it was very simple, so that everything was already connected when I signed the notary actions, and I can do that also online. I can buy a home online, being here in Canada if I want to. And that's super simple. So it's already connected as well. And then also the service provider has actually contacted me and said, okay, you are now the owner of that apartment. So kind of, you want to continue, do you want to continue like contract with us as an electricity service provider or the water, or you want to change the supplier. And I was like super simple. I just confirmed. Then I was like, okay, the contract goes on my name. I didn't really have to, just kind of show up somewhere and be like, okay, I need another service provider, or like, guys, like this is me. I now own this apartment. They were informed, and again, it saved so much of my time. That I could enjoy the first few days in my new home, not actually going with different forms like, hi, I'm the new homeowner now. So, yeah.
So moving is a big life event, and we all know that when we move, again, you call the cable company, you call the heating company, you call the electricity company, you call everybody. In Estonia, they kind of call you and they say, would you like to continue? Would you like to stop? Another big life event that a lot of people have is having a baby. Tell us what happens when you have a baby in Estonia. After, you don't have to tell us how you deliver babies, because I'm sure it's
I don't know.
it's kind of universal, but how does the state interact with the baby once the baby is born?
So like I said, this is also a life event that is very special for the families, and I mean, also usually, I mean, it's a process itself that you want to enjoy, and not to again think about anything else than like focusing on a little princess or prince that has just been born. And we have also made it super easy. So once you deliver a baby, if I may say so, in the hospital, then on the background already, the baby will get the personal code. The system would also.
Is that like a number?
There is a number, yeah. Okay. So and it's 11-digit number, and just fully also like automatically based on your birth date and things like this. So automatically you get the code for the baby, and then when both of the parents are also there, then the hospital is registering the both parents to be linked to the new baby. And then they will also get the question, and first of all, like message saying congratulations on your newborn baby. And now you can also choose which one of the parents is staying home with a kid. We have wonderful.
And that's for benefits, right?
Exactly. So that so we provide the child benefits for 2 years. So that you can stay at home with the baby for the first 2 years. You're paid for you're fully paid for 1.5 years, and then half a year it's I can't remember the percentage, but it was like 80 something. So, and so it's super simple and
so again, no application. No, it's just.
They already know, you're given a birth, and when the hospital has registering this already, that's it. And then you choose the person, and then also the next step is we already know where is your home address, and most likely your baby will come with you, right, to live with you.
They like to live with their parents, sometimes babies, even in their 30s.
I know, it can be annoying, but so also to find a school to go to. So we start school in the age of 6 and 7. Depending on a kid, and then they can also already choose a school and just kind of select. I think there's 2 or 3 options that are closest.
So you don't, in grade, when your child turns 4 or 5 or 6, again, no form. You don't have to say, here's where I live.
No, it's done.
My child goes, so it's all done automatically.
All done, yeah.
In the background, as you said, you don't have to worry about.
No, not at all.
The state is just providing services.
Exactly, and I mean it's important that your kid could be able to go to the nearest school, and again that you don't have to drive around. We know how crazy traffic is, and then if you have to drop them off everywhere, it's super annoying. So that they can go to the closest school, and then you can already reserve a place for your kid there. And of course, if there are any changes coming in a way, that you can also change the residence, and then also put your kid to another school later. But it's just about that. Enjoy the first 6-7 years with your little one, and then all the stuff that is done already on the background. So we really appreciate that, because again, giving more time for people.
Yeah. Now I've heard you say that your government has estimated how much time this kind of gives back to people, to every citizen. What was that estimate again?
It's just actually one of the services, so that we sign all the documents online, which means that all the contracts and things, transactions and everything that you need to do. So it's 5 days per year for one person.
So it gives everybody on average
an extra week of vacation.
An extra week of their life back.
But if you add also all the other services that you can access online, that you don't have to go somewhere in person, and especially when we right now are thinking about also sustainability and the climate change, then also that we don't actually, I mean, we don't have to drive to the nearest, like the, I don't know, some kind of public institution, but we can do everything from home, which means that also we're doing something.
Except you can't get divorced.
Yeah, but like I said, I hope it doesn't happen too often in your life that you get divorced. But
so driver's license, health care card, unemployment insurance, pension, banking information, hydro information, property taxes, everything online.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
is that scary?
I mean, no, I wouldn't. I would say actually the other way around. Because first of all, like it's a lot of comfort, so that also all these services are just linked to one single card and your personal code. Basically, that's how we identify people by their personal code. So it's not even Taki as a name, but the system itself recognizes you as your personal code, which helps do a lot of analysis also when it comes to the personal code. Like I said, it's your like your gender, your like age, and so you can also use that information. But regarding the scary part, actually transparency for us is the key thing, and the trust between the government and the citizens. And all these kind of government services that we provide online have actually helped us to build that kind of trust. Because people can track who has been, accessing their information, and I feel like this is the best thing that you can do your citizens. That really shows that, like, okay, we don't track your information, and if anybody would do that, like, there is consequences, and there are cases, there have been consequences, and like if I would check your information right over here on paper, could you just, I don't know, there are only the fingerprints that you can have, but that's about it. So that's the tricky part. And
so there's no official kind of looking at filing cabinets and going, oh, this is how much a net makes.
No,
or,
we don't even allow to print anything down on paper. Like this is the publication of information if you do so. So if you go to the public institution and you see them printing down something, I would be like, wait a minute, like you can't do that. Like it's my information, like it shouldn't be there on paper. Because then you can keep that information and it's the application. So the application is not allowed at all, like in our system, so that we don't allow anybody to do that.
Now, one of the things that we do in Canada is we kind of go to the doctor's office, we go to the hospital, very personal, very kind of, in some cases routine, in some cases very kind of special in a good way or in a bad way moments. And we have to kind of give personal information all the time. We have to say, here's what medication I'm on. We have to say, here's the last time I got this shot. Have you ever gotten a shot for or a vaccine for this or for that? And a lot of the times the answer is like, I don't know, did my parents give me that? Did I get that shot in grade 2? Did I get that other thing in grade 4? I don't remember. I don't know. In Estonia, is that all kind of available for your physician when you go to the hospital or the doctor?
Yeah, of course. But what I really like is also that we have, I think it's around like 5 or 6 different layers of access to your information. So if you're just a dentist and you can't just go and see all my other doctor visits, if you're my family doctor, yes, then you should have like a full picture over like, how you can consult me the best way. But when it comes to also specialists, like it's a very limited access to your information.
And is that your choice or is it somebody else's choice?
I mean, this is by the law, but also there is additional like layer there that I can also opt out my doctor visits if I feel like this was very personal. Like it's just, I don't want like my family doctor. And in a lot of cases, like I grew up in a very small place and my family doctor like knew everybody from my family and like close ones. I mean, everybody knew her because it was such a small community. So sometimes also you don't want to share your medical information with like somebody that actually knows a lot about you. And
that's the key. It's your medical information.
And
it's not the system.
Exactly. So actually we have a way of saying that also I'm the owner of my data, my information, and the government just helps me to store that information.
Exactly.
So that they actually serve me like this. I mean, just provide me the service of like storing that information. But I'm the one who is like making the decisions here.
And that's it seems to me that that's very key. That your data is your data. It's not that you're giving your data over to the state to use in any way it seems fit. You're giving your data over to the state so the state can serve you.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like if collecting data helps also the state to make smarter decisions, I'm all up for this. Like, because it's when it comes to also like making decisions, sometimes like you just see some of the decisions made by the government, and you're like, okay, well, why does this sound like that way? But like if there is actually like information that they have collected, but also in a way that they don't see your like name or anything there, but just based on a very just the large like
like the metadata.
Yeah, exactly. So and they actually make smarter decisions, and we get a better quality of the services than why I should be against that. So we try to also move very quickly towards that. We actually use that information we've collected in a policy making processes as well. And like and I think especially when it comes to like the medical sector, it massively helps to actually design again better. I don't know, even like what do you eat at school as a kid, or how many sport classes do you have, or is there any need for, I don't know, mental health assistance in different schools? Like, I mean, this is the basis. Like, it's just.
Now, in Canada, we do that too, but we do it through an instrument called the census, which is a point-in-time snapshot. And it's basically every 10 years, and we take that data and we say, well, here's now where we should be building schools, here's now where we should be building old age homes, here's now where we should be opening hospitals, here's where we should be closing hospitals, but it's a point in time. And it sounds like your data is dynamic, that it's in real life where people are moving to, where certain areas, the demographics are getting, the people are getting younger and you need more schools, or the people are getting older and you might need more hospitals, etc. Tremendous, tremendous benefit to citizens to be able to have kind of the real world data matching what the state is providing you at any given time.
Yeah, one of my favorite actually also of the public institutions is our statistics department. I think it's called that way, and I can also just share that information sometime later. Like it's so cool. Like they have a lot of analysis, and it's just like it's actually a lot of Estonian citizens follow there on social media because there's a lot of data that, like, again, it's collected thanks to all of our systems. And then they do a lot of analysis and kind of reflections on a society and our behaviors and just, you know, very cool statistics. So if you think about, like, I mean, statistics department is like very, very highly followed platform on social media by the citizen, which is not very, you know, commenting in different other societies. But we're trying to, you know, just kind of keep it cool so that it also educates people. They also
data
understand.
is cool.
Yeah, I think data is cool, and like it's just like when we have that data, like why not to use it for like really?
For good.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to get access to high quality stuff, and we want to make sure that our people do get access to this quality services, because that's what matters. And then, like, if people have a good life there, and it's not just about the citizens, but it's also about the entrepreneurs. Like, as coming from such a small place, like, we want to make sure that, like, if you open a business there, I mean, it has to be an enjoyable process of also operating your business there.
Must take, what, 10 days to open a business in Estonia?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay. That's pretty cool.
I opened mine at the office, and I'm running also a private business, which I'm also super happy that our government allows to, like that if you even work in ministry, that you can still, you know, do your like part-time stuff also in the background. And it was just 15 minutes for me, and automatically again, like all this information was moving. When I also opened a bank account, you know, like for my business, and then this information was already in my bank as well. That I just clicked like the name of my company, and all the data was there. And then basically it was like 2 days, and then I got my business card as well, and it was all done, and I could start running my business. And of course, when it comes to tax declarations and everything, and so it's always like pre-filled. and you don't need to, I don't know, just kind of download the PDFs and be like, okay, here's what I paid for or something like.
Put in your address again, and here's where I live, and here's.
And also regarding transparency, that's very cool because like it helps to lower the level of corruption cases as well, like in a government sector, so that everything is so transparent that it's very, very difficult to hide anything that you do. And I can even go to our like entrepreneurs like portal, and I can type in like a random company's name, and I can see their reports. It's publicly available. So if I also start collaborating with like another business, like finding a new business partner, then I can be sure that like this business partner is not lying about their results, but there is actual reports that are available for citizens to use, and we do it often, so that it's like it's very, very transparent.
Part of the culture. So now, obviously, you guys must have like the best quantum supercomputers. You must have technology from 2047. You've got special access to technology that nobody else in the world has. Canadians don't have it. Americans don't have it. Israelis don't have it. People in Singapore don't have it. You guys have technology that's proprietary and completely Estonian, and nobody else in the world has it, right?
Not true at all.
Oh.
No, we're not somewhere in the future. We're in the
You don't make your own supercomputers?
We're in the future with leadership. So that's the thing. It's if I would just put into the numbers, around 80% of our success story is fully based on decision makers and leaders that have been like really just believing in that kind of change. And then there is only 20% that is based on technology. I mean, of course, technology has to support the process, but it doesn't mean that our technology is different than in anywhere else. I mean, we use the same computers and stuff that all the other countries are doing as well, but there's just, there is no such thing as a leadership. And when it comes to also a couple of other countries that are very successful in providing services, it's the same, these are the same reasons. They also have a very strong leadership and just people or like teams really working on the same goal. And this is something that has been already happening in Estonia in the last 30 years. We already kind of drafted the first document to the parliament in 1994, and that this change is going to start to happen, like the first, just kind of basis of using information technology, and it has processed like. I mean, of course, on a very high level today when we talk about like the emerging technologies and the new AI and all this stuff.
So it's not technology driving the population, it's not technology driving the political masters, it's not technology driving the bureaucratic actors, it's actually leadership. It's just saying, this is important, we want to do it, and we're going to do it. Now, all of this sounds like magic. And some of us don't believe in magic. So we actually want to see it, because anybody can say they can do something. We actually want to see all the things you've been talking about. Are you willing to show us?
Absolutely. I mean, this is always, just interesting for others like to see. And like, I feel like we're in Estonia, like in a very much of a comfort zone, like thinking that this is how it should be. And I really like to say that like we have the most demanding customers that you can find anywhere in the world. So as soon as like a service is, I don't know, down for a few minutes, or I mean, the UX design is not on a level that you would expect this to be from the government, then people are complaining. And I feel like it's the most amazing thing, because like if you have demanding customers, that means that you're actually improving your systems. And the state portal that we have now, I'm super proud of this, like the design and everything. It's simple to use, and as even like for people that are not so tech savvy, I mean, it's just flows, and you know where to find information. And again, it takes very little time for you to get access to your service, because it's easy to find where the services are, not that you have to know that you need to approach this institution to get access.
So that was a lot of tell. Now we're going to move to the show portion. So give us a moment. The video people are going to do something magic behind the scenes to make it look all seamless. And in a moment or two, you will see Annette actually showing us all of the things that she's been talking about over the last 20 minutes or so. Let's go do some. Let's go log on. All right, our technicians have done their magic. We are back, and now we're going to see Estonian magic. So Annette, this is, I guess, the public screen for the platform that we've been talking about. And look, for the Canadians, look how nice and clean this looks. It's organized by life events. You know, I have fallen ill, I'm having a baby, I'm getting married, I'm moving. There's information on the side. This is all public. This has nothing to do with you as Annette. Now, let's go into you as Annette. Let's see how this works when you're kind of on the inside.
Yeah, just as a remark, like you can see that here, that even you don't have to log into the system like to really get the full picture, like what kind of services you can, you know, just kind of use here.
So I can do this here in Canada?
Easily, yeah. And of course also like we are providing the e-residency for people around the world who would like to access Estonian business market. And like if you check up there as well, like we have the entrepreneur like portal as well, so that you can log in as an entrepreneur, which also helps a lot of people so that navigate also the business services. And we're gonna see in a second, like these are the most popular services that people are using for as an entrepreneur. So your certificate of incapacity for work, application for the like different kind of holiday pay and the average salary part, and then there is also the social insurance part as well. Like and then some of the articles that you need to know. So if there is any changes coming in a state as well, then that's also super simple that you can just. To see here, even again, like I said, you don't even have to log in. But let's log in. Then I will show you like what I can see as a citizen here.
The other really nice thing there is that the state pushes out information to those where and when they need it.
Yeah. And if you take a look at here, so there is the ID card solution, the solution we have had for the last 20 plus years. And then there is mobile ID, that's like a SIM card on my phone, and smart ID, which is provided by a private sector company actually, and they're providing this in many other states as well. And of course, Estonia is being part of the EU, then we can also select here in the list. If I would be from any other country, I come from Italy, I could be in Rome and also log in with my Italian ID card as well. But I would recommend that we're going to go and choose the smart ID. So what I need to know for this is my personal code, and we talked about this for a lot of times before.
This is public. This is like your phone number. This is
yeah. Like I said, it's just like it's like the information that is publicly available, and the government is using for like also accessing my not accessing my information, but you know, identifying me. So that's simple. And let's click continue. And what's going to happen? I luckily have also my phone right over here.
So now this is private. This is only for you. Of course, we're broadcasting this, but
yes. But you don't see anything that you shouldn't see, so
right.
that's all okay. So there is a config code here. I received a notification on my phone that asked me to confirm that I'm the one logging into the system here, and then there is kind of three options for like 3 ways to log in, and I can see 7, 4, 5, and 8, and this is still also here. I will select that one, and then it asks me my PIN number 1. I added my PIN number 1. And we have 2 different bingo. So if you encrypt and sign documents, then it's PIN number 2, and then PIN number 1 for when you just kind of log into the system.
So 2 pins known only to you, an identification code every time you log on, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And now we can see. Not so pretty picture of me for like a document picture that I use, and then I can see that my ID card is valid, my Estonian passport, and then also like the driving license information, the prescription side that I'm
So you don't drive, otherwise there would be a driving license.
Yeah, that's a joke that my friends are still making fun of me, that I don't have a driving license, but yeah, it's a longer story. But I would actually recommend that we're going to go and check out the data tracker instead of that passport picture. And now I can also choose here that I want to see if somebody has been checking my information from population registry. We can click on this, and then I can see that there is different kind of request. I mean, this is my personal code that I use to log into the system, and I can see that in the last couple of days I've checked my own information, and I can even see here that like what I've been like looking for, and like it kind of describes everything. So it's super simple to kind of like see. If you will click on the third page here, then there could be something else. Like let's go for fourth. Yeah, okay, so there is also like a private sector company linked here. So private sector companies can also have access to our information, but on a very need-to-know basis, so that they only access the information that they're allowed to access, and usually they just get yes or no answers if they have any questions. And if I feel that there is something here in a list that I have no idea what this, like the notary board has been accessing my information, then I can make a request, and they have to give me an entire report why they were accessing my information. And if there is no reason for this than just curiosity, then there are consequences, like I said before, and nobody want to face them if you have been working so hard in order to get on your position. And there are cases when some of the doctors have been checking information of the patients that are not their patients, and then also it can really end up very, very badly. So my recommendation is not to do that. And that's why I feel like we're just kind of, it has become such a kind of normal thing that we don't stalk about each other. Like it's just, I mean, we respect each other's privacy because we know that whenever we do it, you can see that here. And I think this is a very good example. If we will click again here on the information systems, and we can see that there is much more of a different kind of portals that I can also track that information.
Now, are these different databases that we're clicking?
Yeah,
The
so
land
it's kind
registry, the foreign registry?
Yeah, it connects with the other portals as well here, but it's a one-stop shop so that if I click on something else here, I can see all the information in one place, so I don't have to, you know, go and log into different portals and again waste my very valuable time, and I can just easily do that here.
So for us as Canadians, if we were to do this, we would have to go to a tax site, log on, remember a thing. Then we'd have to go to our doctor's system, if our doctor is online, log on, different password, different, on and on and on. But here, all the databases come to you, and through the one portal, it's seamless, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, that was the comfort that I was telling you about before. It's just that it takes very little time. And I've been asking my friends, like, how often do you actually go and check that information if somebody has been accessing your information? I mean, people don't even think about this anymore. Because like
Very
it's just, it feels very, you know, yeah, we're used to it already that we don't see such kind of things. And I would recommend to do it for, well, I don't know, once per like 6 months, and like just to make sure that like there hasn't been any kind of request here.
Like going to your dentist.
But of course, also if there is some kind of, you know, the analysis done by some kind of institutions, then you can still see that they have been also using your information for collecting data and maybe also protecting the data for the future, so that you can also easily see that here. The only thing that we cannot see that here is when you're under criminal investigation, but I think this is kind of obvious that the police is not going to warn you, like, Taki, we're going to check your information and you have around like 5 business days to get out of here from Canada, and we can't catch you because like
they give me
warned.
10 days.
10 days, that's good. For us, like, there is no kind of time that we give to people, so we if that's a criminal investigation, we check their backgrounds, but very important to know, as soon as the investigation is over, then we also provide them like an entire report saying that we were accessing your information. But when there is a police, for example, stopping you on a street, just making sure that you have a valid driving license or anything else, then you can still see that here.
Right.
So that's very, very important. That and surprisingly, police is the most trusted institution in Estonia and public sector.
Yeah. Now, your local transit system has contacted you through this platform. Tell us why they contacted you.
The local, you mean the banking side?
No, the bus or transit.
The bus. Okay, yeah, that one here.
Yeah.
So Ridango is a company, and here it's written also like Bilet.e, which is Ticket.e. in Estonia, and in Tallinn, in the capital city, we access public transportation for free, but you have to pay your taxes in Tallinn, so that you need to really live there. So your home address has to be inside of like Tallinn, and so from the system, I use this kind of green card that I swipe every time that I go to the bus or tram. And then easily, just once per month, they automatically, you can see at 10 o'clock in the evening, automatically the system just made sure that I still live in Tallinn. So once per month, just confirming, and they just got an information like a green light. She still lives in Tallinn, so whenever she goes to the bus now, then she can use it for free.
So it's still free, it's still valid, she hasn't moved. They don't ask you, they just use the system in the background.
Exactly.
And do they actually know where you live, or?
No, of course, no. So actually, it's very, very simple, with this institution, because they actually get just yes or no answer, and the yes or no answer is actually coming just from our the postal code. So it's not your apartment number, it's not your also your street number, because the only thing that we know is your the area, and the postal code says everything, like which kind of district you are living. So it's very, very simple. And again, that we know that this company does not have a massive database of people addresses, or I would have to contact them as a service provider and saying, hi guys, I actually just moved. So maybe you would just kind of decline the access to public transportation. If I would do that, then they will get the green light, and then next time I'm going to go to the bus and it says, sorry, but you need to buy a ticket.
Yeah. So I want to poke around on the public site in a moment, just for a few minutes. Is there anything else you want to show us before we log off?
No, I think it's okay already.
Perfect.
Plenty of services that we could already cover.
So then the feedback, where the system says, "Oh, were you happy? Were you unhappy?" Which is current. Can we go back to the life events screen?
Yeah. So
because again, Canadians can actually.
So we have to click again for the very up there on the left side, ac.ie. And then it leads us back to the main page.
So now Canadians are free, or anybody in our audience is free to go look at this, because this is the public site. But I just want to scroll down and see. So again, you've going to the hospital, you're having a baby, you'd like to start a company, you have a car, I lost my job. Yeah. You see the language is very clean, very simple, very accessible. Let's just imagine that we've had one of life's big tragedies, which is losing my job. Can we just read more?
Yeah, but also if you saw that before, it was just one single sentence that we saw that first, and we also have been analyzing that. It's so important when it comes to sometimes the public sector language, is that people are really just using very, very difficult language.
Fill out form T964
for a lot of citizens.
Yeah,
for a lot of citizens, it's so difficult to understand the language that the public servants are using. So it was very, very simple, so that people would understand. And here I can also see again why and how. It's the forms, the services. It's just kind of.
No, but wait a sec. We said there were no forms. How come there's a form?
Yeah, it's just again, these things are pre-filled, and you just have to go and click on these things here. And if you want to know which kind of law covers this, then also that's quite simple. And here on the right side as well, we see a lot of just questions that people might have.
Now I want to know. I want to go to the right and see for how long am I entitled to benefits. So I think it's about the fourth one on the right.
This one here.
One more below, I think.
Yeah. So I will click on this here, and then it shows already the answer here. So it's from 1st of August 2020. On the first 100 days of receiving the benefits, you will receive also 60% of each day, and then 40%. So it's just very, again, it's just a few sentences here, and then it gives people a very clear picture. And of course, you can click on these links here and actually get more information if you want to dive deep into the details. But for us, these are the things that we really need to know. And again, takes just very little time for me to understand and answer these questions.
So clean, simple, understandable, but as you click, very comprehensive too. It navigates your life events in a way that not only respects your time, but respects you as a person. Welcome back. Annette Numa from Accelerate Estonia. Thank you so much for showing us the art of the possible. It's not only the art of the possible, but it truly is world leading. It is the North Star. It is what every country that respects its citizens should be aspiring to. And for our Canadian friends out there, whether you're federal, provincial, municipal, or private sector, we have now seen what a little country can do. And it's not an excuse that they're a little country. Sometimes it's harder as a little country to do these things. You have less resources, you have less people to be able to put this together. As Annette told us over and over again, it's about leadership, it's not about technology. And hopefully, Annette, you have shown us, not hopefully, you have shown us today's reality in Estonia, but hopefully you've shown us a near reality for Canada. So on behalf of Canada School of Public Service, on behalf of all the people that are watching this video, inside and outside the Government of Canada, thank you so much for coming here to share a tremendous success story, and congratulations to your country, and may you continue to lead the way in this important area.
Thank you very much, Taki. And it has been very interesting also to understand the Canadian system a little better. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that we can actually continue to do together. So to make sure that the next time you're going to come and show me the Canadian portals, and I'm going to be impressed.
I would love nothing more. As the father of 2 young children, I want them to grow up in a country where the services are given to them by their government in a way that's as painless as possible for their own benefit and for all of your children. Thank you again.
Thank you.